Hello, everyone. Welcome to Divine MF Podcast, Episode 2. Today, we are going to break down Yin and Yang and talk about, expand upon the two of those definitions and offer our experiences with each of them.
Yes.
So, Nancy, is the fundamental definition of Yin and then that of Yang, or our working definition?
Right. In Taoist, Chinese Taoist philosophy, Yin is considered the feminine polarity. Mm-hmm. The Yang is considered the masculine polarity. And as we know with the Yin and Yang symbol, there's always a tiny bit of Yin inside of Yang, and there's always a tiny bit of Yang inside of Yin.
Right.
So there's never going to be 100% Yin or Yang. And as far as how we approach this, we call Yin and Yang our feminine and our masculine. But we can use this interchangeably. Everything has a yin or a yang, component to it. And you'll see as we start talking about examples how this can apply.
Right. Cool. So yin is the feminine, yang is the masculine. Mm-hmm. Yin, the word, one word that we can associate as the base word would be surrender.
Correct.
Okay, so yin, surrender, the feminine. Yang, will,
yes,
the masculine.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, and so let's kind of take away from and then we could fill in plenty of words there. Maybe we will later. Mm-hmm. But I think rather than staying sort of academic, would you share about kind of your operating from a more yang place, from a place of will, and a little bit about that transition mm-hmm. into embodying your divine feminine?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the story begins many, many, many years ago. I became a physician, anesthesiologist, because of what I felt like was a need to prove myself and also a need to gain self-worth. Of course, I've always wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. So being a physician actually took it all the way up to the top of the chain, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
And so I embodied these masculine or yang type energies in order to get through 4 years of college at a high level of achievement, in order to get into medical school, in order to get through medical school, through internship, through residency. Women, of course, have to fit in order to play in the sandbox. So it was very much to my advantage to go through medical school as a yang individual. It makes total sense. You see dead bodies, you see limbs ripped off. Yes, you have to have a yang focus. You cannot let your emotions take over. You have to compartmentalize. It's a very yang concept in order to be in medicine, especially as a physician. So that was kind of what ended up happening. It was a career choice that I made, and then I ended up becoming the embodiment of a yang masculine energy.
Will.
Yes, and it was all about will. It was all about focus and concentration, and it had structure to it. It had solidity to it. No wishy-washy, no woo-woo, no spirituality, none of that.
Right. So can I ask, how would that have landed on you when you were in medical school, say? If you were kind of approached with this, oh, hey, come from a place of surrender.
I'd have been like, fuck off. I would have been like, fuck off. Literally. That was not even That concept was not even in my wheelhouse.
Right.
It was must go through. It was staying power. It was pure, unadulterated strength and will and determination.
Nice.
And even after I got out of medical school and out of residency and became a clinical anesthesiologist, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. As the years progressed, I had multiple people tell me, "You don't act like an anesthesiologist." So I had the feminine stuff was leaking out along the way.
Okay, wait, so can you remember a time specifically, like what was it that you did that they found to not be anesthesiologist-y?
Yes. It's actually happened many times. I actually had patients and nurses tell me, as I would stand there and I would talk to a patient, just my energy with the patient would be, instead of this is what's happening, this is what's going to happen, no, you don't have a say. There's a lot of anesthesiologists that don't want to listen to their patients. They're just like, I'm just here to give you drugs and to watch you on the table. And that's all they're there for.
Right.
I'd sit there and I'd talk and I'm like, how you doing? And how's your dog? And, oh, I'm so sorry you lost your father yesterday. That was
a lot of compassion.
Oh yeah. And then multiple people had told me that you just don't act like an anesthesiologist.
Right.
And I was like, all right. I didn't know what that meant at the time.
Yeah. Sounds like compassion and also support. Like, I got you through this.
Right.
Like, I'm the one who's watching over you.
Right. And it was obviously that patience and the support that I was wanting to give just ended up just leaking out many times, which makes for a good anesthesiologist, truthfully.
Right.
I mean, really.
Okay, and so you had a lot of will, a lot of staying power. You got through. You are a doctor,
Yeah.
very successful one. So so the yang energy seemed to have served you very well in that arena. Right. How did that kind of translate or leak into your personal life?
Well, it actually happened during a couple of relationships. The first one was my marriage. The marriage was where I was the breadwinner and I was expected to maintain everything, including the checkbook, the bills, all of the dynamics. My husband, God rest his soul, he passed away after we divorced. But 17 years we were married, and that's my staying power. That's a prime example of that. But I realized it was almost as if he was withering away. Because he had even told me multiple times, he was like, when you talk, you just don't come across as compassionate. Like, I could be compassionate with a patient, but not with my husband. So, and it's, and it just got worse. Now, granted, he had some substance abuse issues, which is actually, ironically, substance abuse is actually a feminine trait.
Okay.
Alcohol, a lot of people will drink alcohol to feminize, to soften, to relax, to be more receptive, to allow, to let go.
Surrender.
Makes sense, right?
Yes.
So he actually drank more and more and more because I became more and more and more masculine. So that was the dynamics. I'm not saying I'm not taking responsibility for his substance abuse by any means, but I just know energetically the dynamics it was like putting a square peg into a round hole. It was not working. The more I tried to control, the more he was fighting, trying to let go.
Right. Right. And so, I don't know, I feel like there may be many listeners that might be triggered by hearing the statement like, oh, you don't have compassion.
Yeah.
Or things like, why don't you smile more? Like, those are, at least in where I hail from in Los Angeles, those are like fighting words these days.
Yeah.
Like to offer up, any sort of appreciation of feminine qualities are not okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
Well, I guess because I'm in medicine, compassion is kind of a requirement.
Okay, well, away from medicine in a personal relationship, like at that time, how did it land on you to be told, oh, you're not compassionate? Or if someone told you in those days, like, why don't you smile more? Yeah. You'd be pretty if you smile. I don't know. I'm just laying it in.
Yeah, well, and actually,
how would that land?
That's like my stepmother just said today. Remember, she said, "I'm so glad to see you happy," because I wasn't happy for so long.
Right.
So serious, so serious. So yeah, actually, it did land. It landed right here, and already it was almost like my my heart was just totally closed off, and that's it landed, but it was like, well, I don't know how to access it. I was like lost because all I knew was Yang.
I see, but it wasn't a trigger for you.
No.
Like, hey, I don't have to be compassionate.
No.
It wasn't that.
Nope.
Okay.
No, it was not so much that. It was like I wanted to be compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted that honesty, and I wanted that openness, because I was totally seeking that yin energy the entire time. I didn't know it was inside of me though. That was the key.
Nice. You mentioned a little bit, I think in the intro episode, about feeling like you had to be the breadwinner,
right,
and other masculine qualities. So, were there some masculine qualities that you felt that you were aware of feeling? I don't know, maybe resentment for having to embody that? Maybe feeling like you had to?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I totally resented the shit out of it. I was like, no. I did not want to be the breadwinner. It was
Right.
And I kept on trying to change my job description. Instead of working a 60-hour work week, which a lot of docs do, I was like, oh, I'm going to go part-time. I'm going to become a life coach. I'm going to do acupuncture. I kept on trying to change the career into a more of a yin type thing because I didn't want to be the breadwinner. And it was almost like I was passively aggressively, because I didn't even know I was doing this at the time. Hindsight's 2020. But I was almost passively aggressively asking my husband, step it up.
Ah, right.
And I didn't know how to say that.
Right. But you knew how to suddenly have fewer hours at the office.
Right, exactly.
What are we going to do?
Yep, exactly. And we have all these bills to pay, and yes.
How's that going to work?
Yep, exactly.
Right. I see. Okay. And so a shift happened.
Yes. So a shift happened it's about a year ago. Actually, a year ago to date. I had pretty much been yanging. I call it yanging. Doing my thing, going as hard as I can go at that point, it was after the divorce and after his death. I was in another relationship, and I had taken control of that relationship as well. I was 100% the breadwinner, and actually I took on a lot more difficult job, more hours, a lot more stress, and moved across the country and drug him and 4 cats across the country. Let's move, let's do it, let's get a new job, and it was all this big driver of trying to make more money for us. Right. And I was trying to take control yet again. And then finally, what I would consider my higher power put a stop to that. And pretty much I fell down the stairs one morning rushing around for work. And ironically, when I realized all this after this all went down, I realized that I had crushed the masculine side of my body. So I had a flailed chest, collapsed lung. I had bruises all the way on my arm and all the way down my leg because I literally slipped at the top of 10 stairs and went down.
Wow.
So that was like the wake up fall.
Wow.
And it was
crush your masculine in 10 easy steps.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Let me crush my masculine.
Wow.
And so I had to stop. I had to slow down. I had to surrender. I had to let go. I had to be a patient for the first time ever, which I totally get that.
Were you able to yin that?
Yeah, I had to. I had no choice. I couldn't move. I was just like, had to roll around.
You weren't telling them what to do?
I did.
Yeah.
I tried to the certain extent, yeah. But at least I did allow myself to be in a hospital for a few days.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you did.
And I took off work because I couldn't. I had no choice. I couldn't breathe. It was really hard to move. And the 4 ribs were just crushed all the way in. So, yeah, I had to take 6 weeks off. I had no other choice. But it's funny how the higher power had to go smack, smack to essentially say stop, because that's what happens is my body will just give out if I go too hard anyway. And I knew that, but obviously I was going full steam ahead. I was in ludicrous mode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a second, I want to ask you about the after the fall and kind of bringing the yin back into your life because you're quite intelligent and well held together, and I don't think anyone would make the argument that, oh, you just gave up everything to be some 1950s blah, 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 blah.
Right.
That's certainly not
right.
the case, and that's not my experience of being with you.
Yes.
So I want to ask about how you yinned your life.
Yes.
From an enlightening perspective, and then I'll share the sort of masculine counterpoint, the yang. We'll talk yang. But first, this episode is brought to you by Shared Heart Journeys, providing tools for the enlightening life. Yes, got it. Yes, so go ahead and check out sharedheartjourneys.world. Check out some retreats, events, private coaching, group coaching, couples coaching.
Yes.
So go ahead and check that out. We'd love to work with you. Spoiler alert. It is Nancy and I that are creating these programs and that are available for coaching for you two, both together and individually. So, yinning your life.
Yes. Yeah. That's when I was like, I need to be a yin doctor, and I already have that in mind as far as healing is concerned, because I think a lot of people do too much yanging. I think our society is just over yanged. So when I was laying there, I had no other choice. I had to meditate. And I started meditating again. I had stopped it for a while. I used to do yoga, studied a lot of teachers like Bentinho Massaro, like Abraham Hicks, right. Neville Goddard, and some other empowerment coaching, empowerment teachers, and as well as enlightenment teachers. Also Buddhism philosophy. So I knew that, number one, I had to surrender at that point. I had no choice. Physically, I could not move and do anything anymore. So the only thing that was working still was my brain. Thank goodness. So I started meditating again. I actually started reading some books, going back to Joe Dispenza, You're the Placebo, and Supernatural, and also some other personal development, enlightenment books.
Okay.
And as I became more clear as to why this had all happened and the big picture, I realized that the only way that I'm going to change my life and to not go any more in ludicrous mode is to stop and let go and to surrender control. And that was the biggest realization. Soon after, that relationship fell apart within a month and a half or so. So I was left to pick up my pieces by myself, which was good. This was alone time for me. So I just went inside. I did actually get a life coach at that point, and that was pretty much the theme that we worked on through my choice, which was to add more yin to my life, to be more receptive, to be more allowing, to essentially let go and let God,
Right.
and to become the total opposite of who I had been, because I knew that what I had been doing before did not work. And it obviously didn't. It was causing more misery than it was causing happiness. So I knew I had to try something new. And so adding more yin as the months progressed, I just started, my entire demeanor, like I started losing weight. I started feeling better. My energy level was going up. And I changed jobs, in anesthesia jobs, in the middle of this, and started exploring different career avenues. And I was like, I've got to get back into life coaching. Because to me, that's what lights me up, is when I talk to clients and inspire them to change their life for the better. And I was like, what am I doing? I just went back to doing anesthesia as a way of controlling my life. It wasn't my passion. It was what I knew to do. So yeah, and then I eventually decided to embody the coaching again, and here we are. And I, of course, met you in the process of all of this. And as I started developing and strengthening my yin and my feminine qualities, and my receptive qualities, and definitely things have gotten 1,000 times better.
Well, wait. So, what does yinning your life look like?
Yep.
Like surrendering. So, what were some things that came up with where it's like, oh, nope, I'm going to do this differently?
Awesome. Yeah. So career, because career was the biggest yang.
Okay.
At that point. So I'll give you an example. When you are on call in the hospital and you're exhausted, you power through it with this level of determination and will. Even though you haven't eaten, you haven't drank any water, you haven't peed, you're essentially self-sacrificing for this this drive.
Sounds like Marine Corps.
It is.
Like,
it is.
yeah.
It is. Military and medicine are
Yes.
very similar.
Yeah, okay.
They are. Now, it serves a purpose. I get it.
Right.
But what I found is when I started doing those things, because those were the things that were making me unhappy, and being frustrated with the career, and doing the in the middle of the night bitching and moaning and complaining because I was self-sacrificing. I had to have control of that. So it was like I had to let go. I had to let go of that pushing up against the dissatisfaction. So I let go of pushing up against it. I leaned into it and allowed it to just kind of flow through and say, yep, it's understandable that I would feel slighted or self-sacrificing. It's okay. Go eat, go pee. They're going to be okay.
Right.
You know, it was almost like in every situation where I found it bubbling up that, I got to get through this, the more I would let go, the happier I would be. So I actually would use that pretty much in any scenario when it came up in the job.
And what would happen? So instead of plowing through, because that seems so counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. Just no, actually. Mm-hmm. So once that was happening, then what was that like?
So you're allowing it to flow. It actually flowed better, easier, faster, more smooth. Patients still did well. Surgeons are still happy. Nurses still help you in the operating room. It still works. So, but now it's just less stressful. It's like, holy shit.
That's all that you had to do is
just shift and let go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that was how the yin perspective totally shifted how I approached anesthesia. Now, it's not going to change. I'm not going back into anesthesia. I'm not going back into the hospital to work 84 hours a week. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But in the moment, embodying that yin instead of the yang, and doing it consciously served so much better for me. And it's because I have a feminine essence. Because I'm not misaligned. I'm in flow. I'm allowing things to go. And I'm using intuition instead of just mind stuff. So I'm following gut, following heart, as opposed to just always thinking. Anesthesia is actually it is a career where you do have a lot of knowledge and a lot of data in your head, but it gets to the point after you've done it for 20 years, you actually can go by intuitive hits. You can tell if a patient's sick or not, literally when you walk in a room.
Right.
So it actually serves the patient care better to do the yin, to allow it.
Nice. And so, what about a male anesthesiologist?
Yeah.
Or masculine?
If they can tap into a little bit of their intuitive nature, which, just like I said, is a little bit of each in everyone.
Yes, totally. And we're going to talk about that, fellas. Because leading doesn't mean... No, not at all. Not at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and anesthesiologists, physicians in general, if they let in a little bit more yin in their lives, they probably would not have a high divorce rate, a high substance abuse rate, or a high suicide rate, because they're not hitting up against this constantly. This real strong will and purpose that where they don't allow some intuition or they don't allow flow to happen. So yeah, it definitely serves a purpose to oppose the yang.
Nice. Okay. Let's see. Anything else on yin?
That's it for now.
That's it.
I'm good.
It's okay. You don't have to surrender.
I surrender.
If there's more, there can be more.
Yeah, I surrender.
Okay, you surrender. Great.
So please give me your take on how you got to embody such a wonderful yang masculine energy.
The yang, cool. Yang, well, so yes. Yeah, it's interesting. So I kind of found my yang through really finding that to not have it just doesn't work. Kind of similarly. So I've kind of, in reflecting, have taken it back to being a kid and seeing my parents have an argument. my parents weren't like abusive, nothing crazy. I don't have a crazy childhood, but people argue, and so my parents would argue sometimes, and then to cool off, my dad would leave and go take a drive to wherever and cool off, and then he'd come back after an hour and whatever. But in that period when he would drive off mad, he would go mad and go cool off. My mom would be upset, and I'd be this little. I was the oldest of the kids, and I would see my mom very upset, and that just really bothered me. And she would tell me things like, you listen to. Basically, she would tell me to, when I grow up and get married, do all the things that he didn't do. And I took those. I was young, and I thought, yeah, I want to be a good man, and so I want to do like all of these things that she wasn't getting from my dad.
Yes.
Now, so I did those things as I came into adulthood and like kind of teen years and into my 20s. And those things just did not work. They really didn't. So things like, oh yeah, always hold the door open and bring a girl flowers and like have the picnic and be available for this and that and to do all of these things that like would help out, that would have helped out my mom in those days. Doing those in a relationship did not make me attractive at all. And so there's this whole thing of, the girls always go for the jerk.
Yeah.
Nice guys finish last. Mm-hmm. All of that. And so it's like, well, I'm not going to mistreat somebody. Mm-hmm. But these girls keep going for someone that's mistreated. I mean, even my mom she was married to my dad, who wasn't doing all the things she told me.
Right.
She didn't find that guy. She found my dad, mm-hmm. who provided and did, he had great qualities too. They had a relationship that worked for many, many years. But she didn't choose the guy that was doing all the things she told me to do. And me doing all of the things did not work. So this would be the kind of blue pill stuff or the beta male.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't working, yet it was becoming more and more and more wanted societally, certainly in Los Angeles where I was living.
Yeah.
So that was like the thing to do. Like, guys, make sure you and don't hit on a girl, don't talk to them. So it was like you can't even meet anybody. Yeah. Literally, it's
wow.
like if you do any sort of want to meet up later at the workplace, that's inappropriate. You can't do that.
Wow.
Don't hit on me on the street. Don't do any of this stuff. Wow. Don't look at me. Don't ignore me. Okay, wow. Like what do you want? Really, what do you want? Ladies, what do you want? Leave me alone, but there's no good guys out there. Like this was just sort of what I was seeing, and there are many people in relationships in Los Angeles, so I'm not like, there are many experiences available, but that's what I was seeing.
Yeah.
The more and more, just nobody was happy. People were either single and disgruntled in various ways, or they were in a relationship where the guy was doing all these kind of nice guy things my mom told me to do, but they weren't happy.
Right.
And so I had some relationships where I was doing that, and one significant one, we were together for I think 3 years. Anyways, that relationship just totally crashed and crumbled. It just was not working. I was being supportive of their life. So living in Los Angeles, most people are there to be in the creative field in some capacity.
Yeah.
So it's a very freelance lifestyle at first, and wanting to do this and that project and and so I was there to be a creative also, and my girlfriend was at the time. So in supporting her and being a good guy and a good boyfriend and doing all of these things, and I'll go get the groceries, and I'll run and grab you a coffee because you're in the shower, and so that you're not late for work, and I'll drive you, and like all of those kind of things that I thought were being supportive were not resulting in a happy, joyful apartment in the city.
Yeah.
At all. And so I was in this place where I'm like, well, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm taking care of my own stuff, and I'm being like ignored over here.
Yeah.
like taken for granted.
Wow.
Like I wasn't a boyfriend, I was an assistant.
Right.
And I put myself in that position. Full responsibility. That's what I thought was being in a good relationship, or being good in a relationship. Didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Is this, okay, so, be a jerk? Well, no, I'm not going to mistreat people just to have will, just to show strength, to be attractive in some way. I can't, I just don't have it in me to be harsh, what I find harsh and not very aware
Yes.
of another person in order to attract a mate. So it's like I have to pretend to be this just to have a girlfriend. That sounds silly.
Yes.
So I stopped dating for a while. I turned off all of the apps, which I thought were ridiculous. Maybe we'll talk about those sometime. Fellas, I highly recommend quit the apps. Ladies, quit the apps. We'll talk about it. So I quit all of the apps, and I was just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And this was kind of in tandem with other spiritual work that I was doing, with meditation and with empowerment, and not just with relationships, but in other areas of my life, career, and just sort of recentering my life on me. And so I just did that. I don't care about dating anybody. I'm just doing my thing.
Right.
So I thought, I'm going to be the sun in my universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And if a planet comes along and wants to be a part, great, but I don't need that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at anybody, but I don't need that. I am self-sufficient. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and if that works for someone, great.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I'm doing. So it looked like a lot of work and rock climbing and enjoying time with friends, and it was actually quite wonderful to not be seeking outside of myself for anything.
Yeah.
Just staying power. Just stay in my lane. This is what I'm doing. That's it. I had this thing for a while where I thought, no, I'm pretty sure that if I'm going to be in a relationship, that person's not in LA. Mm-hmm. I just kind of felt that with all of this kind of oppositeness going on all around me. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like over the last year, I've just more and more like guys holding their girlfriend's purse for them and like following them around in the neighborhood and holding the dog. Like just literally, it's like, guys, you look like personal assistants. I'm sorry. And I hope you're happy, and do you, everybody. But it just doesn't feel, it's just weird. Or seeing, it feels like everything's exactly flopped, like exactly backwards.
Yes.
Like I'll go to the park and I'll see guys like with the strollers and carrying it, and it feels like in like the 80s or something, it would have been like moms at the park.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with dads being dads. Like, of course, fathers need to be in their children's lives. But just the way that it was looking was a support way, not an encouraging way.
Right.
Not encouraging their kids, but supporting the kids. So that's another kind of yin yang.
Yes.
Do I have that one right?
Yeah.
That
yes.
the yin is to support, the yang is to encourage.
Right.
With the children.
Yes.
And so, yeah. So what changed? Went to this meditation retreat where yin and yang was a part of the conversation. It was the most glorious day of that whole retreat for me, because it was so much of what I was seeing in LA and seeing like, no, right, that's not it. It was just yes. It was eye-opening for everyone, and it was incredible. So,
how would you say you embody yang masculine now?
So there's a lot more stillness and a lot more drive, but it's not like a meanness drive, like I'm gonna go and I'm getting that parking spot and I'm gonna get, like, it's not that. It's a much deeper, it's lighter, but it's deeper and more powerful.
Yes.
I guess it's simpler and more. And when I say powerful, I don't mean like I'm powerful. What I mean is the drive is more powerful than that scenario of I'm going to get the parking spot. It's not angsty. It's just very, this is what I'm doing. I am working on this project, whatever it may be. I am creating this website. I am working out on my body. And just to do it in a very decided place. And when there's not a clear direction, when I'm not clear on what to do next, it's to just stay in stillness.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's meditating. And I actually do prefer physical activity. So sometimes stillness is running, but it's still stillness from the tasks. It's stillness from work. It's like, okay, I'm letting that go. I'll work on my body. Sometimes it will be a meditation, but just to wait, and the next thing will come. It's much like a tide or farming, I guess. You're sowing all the seeds, and then, okay, just wait.
Would you say that's more like a knowing and a faith that the answer or the solution is coming?
Yes.
A faith?
Yes. And that, I think, is not just down to being masculine. I think other aspects of spirituality kind of tied into that. Like, I remember I've had times in process where I felt like, oh, I need to get this other gig. So again, Los Angeles creatives, it's a lot of freelancing.
Yes.
So I was in a place one afternoon of feeling like, oh, I'm going to go, let me just run and send this email and like just to get this job. And so like I left where I was to go get in the car, and a bumblebee, literally a bee, like was in my way. And I'm not afraid of bees, but like it like blocked me, and I kind of wanted to get out of the way, and it kind of stayed with me a minute, and I thought, well, okay, let me just stop for a second. So I said, okay, I'm not gonna go send the email. I don't care about that job. Just no. So I just went back inside to my apartment and just did nothing. Maybe I went on a run. Probably, knowing me. But an hour or so later, I got an email from someone offering me a job that paid more that would have been at the same time. So it's like you don't actually always have to be doing. I feel like I'm getting off of Yang.
But I do. That's that solid faith and knowing that what you do processing wise in order to reset, that actually is an intentional thing that you're doing, correct?
Right. Yes.
So that is a part of Yang, which is intention.
Right. Yes. Only operating with clear intention.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And and operating from a place of purpose. Definitely. Yeah, see, and everybody just notice how Nancy helped me to get back on track here. That's a perfect case study of Yin supporting the Yang. Yeah. So, nice. High five. Thanks, hon.
Yeah.
So, purpose. Yeah, to operate without a purpose, it does not work for the masculine. It really does not. And it doesn't feel good to not have a purpose, to not have something that I am working forward or towards. Whether it is just fitness, or it is career, or it is family. Like, to have something that this is why I get up in the morning.
Right.
This must be fulfilled. Or as Data puts it, what is it that must happen for me to die happy?
Yeah.
Like the deeper the better. Because without it, it's just this, like energy without a direction. Like the masculine needs to be, it's a vector. You have this magnitude of the desire and a direction to place it. So all of you physics geeks out there, and those of you that aren't like me, a physics geek. So a vector is different than a line segment. So a vector has a magnitude and it has to have a direction. If it doesn't have a direction, it's not a vector. So the masculine is a vector. yeah, so that's kind of where you get the sloppy, oh, I'm just going to watch Netflix, oh, I'll just play video games, or I'll just kind of let go. Which I guess, to backtrack, was a kind of interim part of, oh, relationships aren't working.
Right.
To just forget that and embody the masculine.
Yeah.
Because there was this little, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, nothing I do works, and I can't be a jerk because that's like, taking away jobs from other people. And so, but I have a desire to do the job. But no, you stand aside, leave room for other. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
And so I just kind of said, forget you guys. I'm going to do what I'm going to do what I'm doing.
Right.
And the world kind of shifted.
Uh-huh. And in order to complement that vector and purpose,
right,
the feminine energy, the feminine essence, the yin, actually provides a support to that purpose. And usually it's some type of love. In my case, actually, this was something that we established really early on in our relationship, that I am here to support, and it's going to express itself as a loving support. That's just the nature of my beast. I've always been that way. I've always been very patient and very supportive of people. And even to my detriment sometimes. But that support is really how the relationship between a yin and a yang individuals works. Right. And it actually attracts the two.
Yes.
So not only it complements, but it attracts, so they become interdependent.
Yes, and the support allows me to be a pillar, and to have the drive. Yes. And it's not because you need me.
Right.
That actually would not feel good at all.
No.
I want to go back though before we get on that. To embody the yin. Yeah, and so I'd say to those that are wanting a relationship that are masculine, more masculine, and again, for our disclosure, we're kind of borrowing from data. You can review the intro episode, but when we're talking about masculine and feminine, again, all men and women have masculine and feminine within them, and so you can choose to embody varying degrees of which. So I'm speaking of operating from the masculine, and I am a masculine that happens to be also male. Yes, so those of you that kind of have a different identification, totally cool, go with it. It's just for simplicity of conversation, we'll say masculine, feminine, but again, anybody can be anything. So operating from the masculine and seeking a partner, the masculine is not seeking a partner.
Right.
You won't get a partner by seeking for it. Ever. So if you're chasing after someone who's feminine, it's not going to work. It won't. And that's why often we're striking out all the time, fellas. Because that's not how it goes. Stay true to what you're doing. Stay true to your purpose. Look good, smell good. Take care of your living space. Take care of your car. Take care of the way you walk to the store. Take care of your groceries. The way that you just be your best you. And the feminine for you will be attracted to what you're bringing and want to support that. Yep. She will come to you. I didn't ask Nancy out at all. And I kind of knew that it was going that way, but it just popped up. I never said anything. We just kind of were talking about other projects and the meditations that we were doing. And it just kind of came to being, and you gave the clues.
Yes.
So fellas, masculines, just stay on your course, stay true to your purpose, and the clues will come. The feminine will make it obvious for you.
Yes.
She wants to support what you have going on. So your job is to have something going on that is worth her support.
Right.
That's it. That is it. The best thing you can do for your feminine partner is to be the best you.
Uh-huh.
Period.
Yep.
And to do so for them, not just in a vain way, for the self, but for the other person. Let me be the best me for this family. Let me be the best me in my career. Let me be the best me in our community.
Yes.
Let me be the best me in this home life. Whatever it is for you. Whatever your purpose is.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what will happen is a feminine energy will actually start injecting their energy towards you. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And because a feminine energy, a feminine essence wants to provide life force. Mm. And that's what love is. That's what love and support is life force.
Yes.
And that is how the dynamics work. And that's why polarity between masculine and feminine attracts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely the extra wind in the sails to keep going that extra little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, Nancy, as when you're offering support, does it ever feel like, there are all these stories out there that, no, that's stepping back, taking a back seat in the relationship. That's not being your own woman. That's not, and that those are valid concerns.
Right. This is not the 1950s, no.
So yeah, tell us about all
this. This is a feeling of you. It's almost like you activate your own purpose as a feminine, because really and truly, the feminine energy is that loving support. Think about it. That's why we're mothers, right? Mm-hmm. That there's a different energy between a father and a mother that goes to the child. Mm-hmm. So it's exactly the same way when you have this feminine energy, and that's providing the oomph towards the masculine energy's purpose. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I can't go to work and make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that way.
I don't like I can't make you a sandwich.
Right, exactly. And he and I, now granted, we are operating at high vibration, very conscious awareness.
Yeah, we each
intentions.
We each had several years of active seeking for ourselves before we met.
Yes.
So, yeah. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of treaded on this a little bit. This, the yang does have yin inside, and the yin does have yang inside. And actually, more and more, it gets so fluid that sometimes we were talking about this before. Sometimes for me, it's so they're both. It gets to where they're both the same.
Yeah.
And so we'll use the yin yang example of a river. So, on one hand, what would be the default?
So
for the river.
So you could say that the flow of the water itself, you could describe that as intention, or concentration, which would be a masculine energy, and
that's the will, the rushing.
Yes, and movement
with direction.
Action. Mm-hmm. And then the banks are the support, which would be feminine.
Right. Yeah, offering guiding along, keeping the river on its path. Right. Now, also at the same time, simultaneously, it is the river is flow. It is just complete abandon, surrender, just rushing through. And it is the banks that are the still pillar, the strength.
Yes.
And they are actually like providing the container for the flow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can interpret it any way you want. It's once you learn how to discern the two, it's all in what you want to embody.
Right. Yes, and when you're in a partnership, it is just being aware of the yin yang balance. And again, that can come from either partner.
Right.
So, in a moment, and that can shift.
Yes.
And that can switch. It can be quite fluid.
Yes.
I'm enjoying the more fluid moments, actually, better than a rigidness to it.
Yeah.
For us, there doesn't seem to be a rigidity.
No. And we are going back and forth a lot.
Right.
We actually do it socially when we're talking about coaching. When we're coaching, we do it career-wise, whatever we're doing for the day. And also, too, when even when we're physically intimate. So we will switch back and forth. So there's nothing,
No, there's not. But I will say, if you are kind of in this place like I felt when I was in LA, seeing like, whoa, everything's so topsy-turvy, or just so... Let me put it this way, because I don't want to put like a thing on it. So let me put it this way. If for those of you that are feeling out of alignment with yourself, feeling like things aren't going... kind of as you were saying, Nancy, when you were kind of in the achieve mode and it not feeling well, being in at the hospital or the ER or wherever you were giving anesthesia, and for me being unhappy with it not working to support all the time,
right,
in a relationship. So if you are finding yourself out of alignment, not feeling good more than you feel good, then maybe a little bit of kind of sticking with this definition. Okay, do I want to operate from will? Will that feel better? Or do I want to operate from a place of surrender? Will that feel better? And so for a time, as you practice, it's quite valuable to just, okay, no, I'm going to yin this, I'm going to yin this, I want to yin. I'm going to yang this, I'm going to yang this, I want to yang for a while. And then, you'll kind of get the gears turning. It takes a while to steer the big boats. And then as you're more centered, the fluidity begins.
Yeah. And work on your own shit first. Don't expect your partner to necessarily turn. All of a sudden you say, "I want you to go to work." It doesn't work like that. You have to work on your own shit first. And really know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, then how are you going to show up in a relationship if you don't know who you are?
Right. Yes.
Self-responsibility here, folks.
Yes. Self-responsibility, masculines, what is your purpose? What is it that once achieved or experienced, you can die happy? What is that? What is that? Yes. And you'll know. You'll know.
Yes.
And then if you don't know, start to just clean up in the ways that you can. Clear your living space, keep your car washed, keep your clothes clean, keep yourself groomed, show up early to work, shift the way you approach being at work, change the way you drive to work, and just kind of create a structure for yourself. And sit in stillness. I recommend meditation for everybody anyway.
Yes.
But let that purpose come. Start to listen to yourself. What is it that really makes me tick? And then once you have that, then the direction will kind of take off for you.
And then as far as the yin is concerned, the feminine energy, find more areas in your life where you can just let go and surrender. And you'll find that that just becoming more receptive, intuitive, surrendering, letting go, let God, and also where I can approach this as in a more loving way, like forgiveness, instead of the masculine qualities that we've been instilled in us. And we're talking extreme feminism here. Can actually be is what I would consider over masculinized feminine. And, I'm sure I'll probably piss people off by saying that. We've worked so hard as females to get equal pay. I get that. Yes, I know. I'm an anesthesiologist. I get paid well to do that kind of stuff. But that's not where I'm coming from. I'm talking about everybody's looking for what makes me happy. And if you're not happy, you got to do something different. So if you are a female and you have feminine essence, then you probably need to start letting go of some of that control.
And if you are masculine, male, I'd say likely you can rev it up, and it's okay to have your ambition and the energy and the drive, and to put it in a place that it is doing well for yourself and for others. It is okay to have that drive. It is okay to want the promotion. It is okay. It does not mean tearing down other people.
No.
There is plenty actually for everybody. Even in the job that there's only one job left, there's still plenty for everybody. What will follow your purpose will come to you no matter what, and it will probably look different. But do not be afraid to embrace that you have a drive and a motivation and a will. It is okay. Don't harm people with it, but stay true to yourself. Yeah, and so this, I guess, is two ways of saying, a yin way and a yang way of saying, ignore everything going on outside. If you're not satisfied, look inside, forget everybody else, forget the outside advice, even this. Tune into yourself. What rings true for you? If what we're saying doesn't ring true for you, then forget it. Swipe left, ignore, block. That's it, and we're gone. It's that simple. And go do whatever does feel in alignment for you.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
This feels complete.
Yes.
Yeah? Nice. All right. Thank you all. This episode was brought to you by Shared Heart Journeys. SharedHeartJourneys.world. You could also do .com if you want, but we like world. SharedHeartJourneys.world. Tools for the enlightening life. You can check out private coaching there, upcoming programs, group coaching, retreats. As we record this, it is early February 2022, and so we have an upcoming retreat for career change called Reroute Your Life, ROOT. Create the career that thrives in you. So that will be March 19th through the 22nd.
Oh no, March 14th.
Oh, 14th to 19th.
Through the 19th, sorry.
March 14th through 19th. Thank you.
Yes.
See you there? March 14th to 19th, 2022 in Outer Banks, South Carolina.
North Carolina.
I'm from California. I don't know this stuff.
Oh, I love you.
Okay. Take two. We have an upcoming retreat, March 14th to 19th, 2022, in Outer Banks, North Carolina.
Yes.
The retreat is called Reroute, ROOT, Create the Career that Thrives in You. So we have a wonderful 5-day program. You can check it out on our Facebook page, Shared Heart Journeys, or our website, sharedheartjourneys.world/retreats.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.